Watch and burn.
Hey everybody. So tonight I am looking to discuss the short story from Stephen King that's known as The Woman in the Room. I think this is the final story that's in the anthology Night Shift. I think this is the story that closes out that collection of short stories. But yeah, this tells the story of a dude his mother's dying and she's having a rough time of it, and she's in the hospital, of course, and she's on this drug. She's taking this drug called Darvon, and her body is just breaking down. Like, this is sort of like she's on her last leg. And the reason that I wanted to talk about this story is, I'll try to keep this one short too, because there's not as much going on, but this was so out of place. This isn't really a horror story. It is a horror story in the sense that these are the horrible things that people have to deal with sometimes in life concerning, friends and family when they get sick and they start to pass away, how their bodies will break down and how they kind of go to hell. So the one dude's coming up and constantly seeing his mom, but his brother, he lives a ways off. He unfortunately can't get up to see her as much. And he makes the decision just to overdose her on Darvon, which she'd been taking for pain for a long time anyways. And of course she's in the hospital, so they're monitoring everything. She's plugged in, so they're watching everything. But he's managing to sneak some pills in, and the story concludes with him purposefully overdosing his mom so that she'll pass away. And throughout the course of the story, though, he's remembering how when he was younger his grandmother's kidneys went, and how she used to urinate everywhere, so she had to have plastic diapers. And when he used to fuck around when he was a kid, his mom used to whip him with his grandmother's plastic pee diapers. And I'm just thinking, oh, that's fairly traumatizing, And now here he is, a fully grown adult, and he's having to compete with the fact that his mother is dying slowly. And she's always asking him for pills, can you get me some pills? And that, I think, is the thing that sort of trips him off and gets him thinking, maybe I could just sort of OD her so that she wouldn't be in pain and I wouldn't have to keep watching this. And that's the thing. This is rough. And what else is rough is something that you probably can't hear, is that there's a bar a ways off from here, and they've got a band singing again, and the dude can't really sing. The other time I was in this area doing some videos, they were there again, and I think it was the same band, and the guy butchered I Love Rock and Roll by Joan Jett. It was unforgivably bad. But yeah, the story was just so sad, and it wasn't, like I said, there's nothing horrific about it other than the horrifying aspects of sometimes this is how a person expires, and the lengths that we will go to in order to sort of accommodate these people in our lives in order to free them from the pain, and then at the same time free us from the responsibility of having to always deal with them and having to go to the hospital and see them constantly falling apart more and more. So I thought this was one of this next to this and The Last Rung on the Ladder are probably my absolute two favorite stories in this collection, just because they deal with emotional issues that I wouldn't really associate with Stephen King. Usually I would assume that would be out of his wheelhouse, and that King, he doesn't touch on things like this very often. And that's what I think made this stand out so significantly to me, was the fact that this is such a sad story, and the story's still brutal, but it's not brutal in the way that, say, Graveyard Shift or Children of the Corn were brutal, or The Man Who Loved Flowers was brutal, with the hammer killer running around. This is just brutal because this is life. And so he kills her, he overdoses her, and he goes home, and he makes sure he drinks a lot of water because her kidneys went. And he's waiting to get the phone call from the hospital saying that she's overdosed. And that's how the story ends, with him watching TV, drinking a lot of water, waiting to get the call from the hospital concerning his mom. And that's it. So I think actually that's where I'm going to leave it as well. Tried to keep this one short. And yeah, so thank you so much for hanging out with me for just about 4.5 minutes while I discussed Stephen King's short story, The Woman in the Room, which I think is the story that closes out the 1978 anthology Night Shift. Like always, if you like this review, or you like this short story, or you love this anthology, don't forget to go and do something nice for somebody. And just remember that that's really simple. Hold the door for somebody. Give $1 to charity. You don't have to bake, no one's expecting you so to break your back. But most importantly, like always, never forget that the world is a way better place because you are in it. I'm getting out of here. Have a good night.